Hello, I'm John, and before I start my video, which is about what it's like to be on 195 days of NoFap hard mode, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I started this on March 16th of 2020, and now it's September 27th of 2020. It's 195 days exactly, including today, which has not concluded yet. And today I have done 195 days NoFap on the hard mode. Hard mode means no porn, no orgasm, and no masturbation. This is my second full reboot. I did my first streak in 2018, and I was 44 at the time. And then I did 97 days, so that was my first reboot. And the changes were very dramatic. I lost a lot of weight. I'd been morbidly obese my entire adult life, and I lost all of it in 2018, and I've largely kept it off. I've regained some of it, but that's, mainly because I haven't exercised as much as I did at that time, which I was kind of obsessed. I wanted to make a list of the good and the bad things that have happened to me over this 195 days of NoFap on hard mode. The first pro is that now I look at almost no porn. I say almost. I do catch myself maybe, once a week, sometimes twice a week, and I'll look at something, but it's not like looking at a full, porno video. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't get that trigger all the time. That can be a problem if a guy sits around and watches TV because the commercials try to sell products through, use of sex. The streak didn't have the kind of energy that I had in 2018 on my first reboot. I was seriously hyperactive at that time. I had so much energy, and it was the first time. It was an out-of-control situation. I was just bursting with energy. It was a different me, and I'd spent a lot of years in a sedentary state, and I was stimulating my brain with too much dopamine all the time. After the suffering is over, the brain just seems to just expand in a million directions. My thinking was better, my focus, and my energy. Well, this is my second reboot, and I didn't do a reboot in 2019. I did a lot of time. Another pro is I don't look to PMO to solve my emotional problems. And I was always trying to solve my problem by looking for pleasure. And what happens over time is that this makes a person less able of achieving the things that they want to do because dopamine fogs up their brain and destroys their motivation. And then all they want to do when the failures mount up is just keep going back to their drug of choice. Mine was PMO, and like when you get free of those things, then you start to just say, okay, I've had a setback here. What can I do to problem solve it? Sometimes you can't. If I can, I do. And that's a good, healthy frame of mind to approach life. Is like, all right, here's a problem. I'm going to try to solve it, and if I can't, going to the drug of choice is not going to solve it. If I have to live with some pain or frustration or setback, it's better to do that than to artificially change my mood and to seek pleasure through aversion. A con is that I did experience a lot of frustrations in my life plans, which was to become a musician. Music is where my heart and soul has always been, but it's very, very subjective. Like it's a challenge. Now, if I were playing in like a jazz combo or something like that, yeah. They, guys my age, they'll take you all day long. Different plans now and realign my goals, but I still continue to record and write music. I enjoy it. Another pro is that I feel free to be me and take risks. You start to feel a lot of freedom to be yourself, and it's mainly because all those barriers that held you back. Mine was social anxiety, which is commonly reported by a lot of people who use PMO a lot. Different fears about people. you're broken free from them in a streak when you get off of PMO for 90 days. Something changed with regard to how I looked at people in the world during that time. Whatever that change was, and I can't define all of it exactly, it just never reverted back. I've kept the lion's share, even though like I've had setbacks. Another con connected to that one, in that when you're fearless and you're having this new rebirth and this rediscovery of who you are, and you're reinvigorated by life, and you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s, few people can understand that, and they're threatened by the fearlessness. That's kind of sad, because if the world was a little bit more of a bold place and people took more risks, then I think people would be a lot happier, because when you take risks, usually doing something that's going to be beneficial. If you're not taking a risk, in my opinion, you're not in a space where you can make progress. They talk a lot in the NoFap community about having superpowers with women. I think it happens, but I think too, it's probably in most guys' heads. Women notice guys when they're in the same environment. They just look at it. So when they see a guy who is NoFap and he's making eye contact with her, and she's seeing him, then there's the potential of a connection happening there. So they're looking at each other, they're noticing. But when a guy is using PMO, like I did for a long, long time, and you walk in and you got your head down, and you're not looking at people, you're not noticing in your environment. Or I was afraid that somebody was going to talk to me, or call me out, or make me do something weird. And I didn't want to get embarrassed or humiliated, so I wouldn't look at people in the eye and stuff like that. But when I lost the social anxiety, and then when I entered a room, the people who were going to notice me anyway, now I'm seeing them notice me, and like they're seeing that I'm there. I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, everybody's all good. The last thing I want to say, and this thing I've noticed is very robust, is that in a streak, I seem to have a lot of time. Everything that used to just take so much time, what happens, and anybody in the Army can attest to this, is you're playing hurry up and wait. So like I'm waiting on this computer, I'll get a mix done, and I'll say I need to fix these 3 things on this song, and I will have to wait for the computer to boot up the program. I'm waiting on the computer to do everything. I know what I have to do. If it was just me doing it, I'm done. That comes from mental focus, because when you're more focused about your tasks that you do, then you go in there and you cut to the chase and you get them done and you're out. You don't waste time on stuff when you know exactly what has to be done. I know exactly what needs to happen. Decision making, you're waiting on other things that are out of your control more than your own. I am on day 195 today. Was at least a double reboot. It's double reboot in 2 weeks plus a day. 180 days plus 15 days. I've struggled with monk mode or hard mode. Definitely I can say I've been on hard mode. The NoFap community has a definition about edging. Now I never edged, because that was too far. I was more in the monk mode in 2018 during that reboot, because I was just like a fitness fanatic, and I was really getting my calories down, and it was a very spiritual experience for me in other ways too. And this one has just been kind of like mellow, controlled. I guess the last thing is my suggestion is if you haven't done a reboot yet, start it. That you do it one day at a time. Your only goal is to make it until you go to sleep without using PMO. If you get that far, that's all you need to worry about. Don't go into a reboot and say, I'm going to do 100 days, 120 days, a year, 2 years. Don't set that up like that, because if you end up in a situation where you relapse, you're more likely to relapse in the beginning of a streak. And once you get to 30 days, you've got momentum. This has been for me, because I didn't get to 30 days too often in 2019. It was a lot of stop and go. But I got 170. I think it was 178 days in 2019, so that's cool. But it wasn't a reboot in there. It's all broken up, one day at a time. Don't set up huge expectations. And the last thing is if you're with a partner, it's going to be nearly impossible to do a reboot, because you guys will want to have sex probably before the end of 30 days. Cycles, they're in a down cycle, they're in an up cycle. And if you get into an up cycle and everybody's happy, you want to be together, it's just going to be, especially if you love that person and you enjoy your time with them, and you can't have sex with them, and you're not really certain about what the benefits of no FAP are, you're going to be undermotivated, and in a situation of temptation, you could give in. If you're single, you got a huge advantage, is that you can stay single during this time. You don't have to date anybody, and if you're with somebody and it's not going to be permanent, you can just let go of it to do this reboot. Because when you come out, you're gonna have a different outlook on life. You're gonna think better. You're just gonna feel better about your life. If you wanted to lose weight, you do it in a reboot, you can get there, and you're gonna be motivated to get there. There's a lot more motivation in a streak or a reboot. I kind of use those words interchangeably. A lot of benefits. There's a lot more. If you got any questions about how it's going for me that are more specific that I didn't cover, and like and comment and subscribe. So I'm John, and it's 195 days no FAP. Be blessed.